Hey, we're back. Welcome back, TNT. Thanks for taking time to share a cup with us on this Sunday morning. And yes, you know, when I look back, I remember, and it always jumps out at me, in my very early days as a broadcaster on radio, different people have different impacts on your life and your career. And when you look back, it jumps out at you. And one of the guys in my days as an early broadcaster, trying to find my voice, trying to find my way, and remember fleeting thoughts of giving up and saying, okay, this probably is not for me, was a visually impaired broadcaster. Most of you may know him as Storming Tom. He was a real inspiration to me because while I was struggling and wanting to throw the towel in and say, okay, this is too hard, every day, trying to sound good, and Storming Tom, with his own challenges, would go on, and I would see him operate the board at I-95 and do his thing, and I'd say, come on, Joel, pull up your socks and get this thing going on, man, you know? It was a real inspiration, and he continues to be an inspiration to me. So recently he told me that the advocates for the blind and visually impaired had a calypso competition. And that's how you heard the voice that you heard at the top of the show this morning. His name is Nyol Manswell, and he has a voice on him. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you always knew you had that voice?
I have always been singing, yes, from, I guess, ever since I could remember. In fact, there's a joke in my family that I was not born crying, I was born singing.
Yeah. So you found and discovered your voice very early in your life?
Yes.
How early is early?
I mean, I think I remember at the age of 3 years old.
Serious?
Growing up in Tobago, just singing and having everybody listen, and then going to primary school and being asked to raise the national anthem.
Right.
So, you know, singing in church, singing at funerals, at weddings, that kind of thing.
You grew up singing now?
Yes.
You grew up singing?
That has always been my life.
Yeah, and grew up in Tobago. Let me just quickly put some perspective, because only when he gave me his full name, Nyol Manswell, he is the younger brother of TNT boxer, Tobago-born boxer, Kirsten Manswell.
Correct.
You ever boxed?
No, thankfully.
You left that to Kirsten?
Yes. Everybody has their own, you know, and Shakespeare said to thine own self be true, so you can take boxing, I'll keep singing.
So Nyol, as I said, he recently, and actually he won and retained his title. He's the double champion of the advocates of the blind and visually impaired calypso competition.
Yes.
So you do calypso as well?
I do a bit of everything. In fact, I started really singing jazz with Ralph Robertson and the bird song Small Ensemble. When I really started to take music seriously, that's where I started singing jazz and calypso jazz. Then I went off to Berklee College of Music in Boston, where I expanded my horizon and started writing R&B and pop songs, and then came back home to come second in Young Kings. 1 year I won Stars of Tomorrow in the same year. So I do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Nyol, were you born blind?
I was born with glaucoma
Yeah.
and developed cataract along the way.
Yeah.
It was discovered at the age of 3 months. I wasn't always totally blind,
Right.
but I became totally blind at the age of 14, which was just yesterday.
At the age of 14?
Yes.
Right. So just yesterday?
Just yesterday.
Just yesterday. How old are you now?
Still 14.
So, I mean, that has to be a challenge in itself, Nyol. You would have, I always say, if it is that you had never had sight, it's one thing. But if you had sight and then had to deal with no sight, I mean, dealing with that challenge as a 14-year-old boy.
Of course, everything in its own has its challenges. For me, I always knew that blindness was coming because, like I said, I was diagnosed at the age of 3 years old, or 3 months old. And so while I had enough vision to move around on my own before the age of 14, I knew that total blindness was coming because the doctors had told it to my mother, told it to myself. So I had to prepare for it. I didn't expect it to come so early, to be honest. So that in itself was a shocker for myself and my family. But the challenge really is not so much being totally blind for me, because I'm a type of person who doesn't like to stay down. I don't like to stay back. I don't like to be in the back of nothing. So being totally blind isn't really the challenge for me. The challenge is living with blindness, having to exist in a society where nobody really takes the time to think, to make space for you. So you kind of have to make your own space. Even as something as simple as walking on the streets, like lampposts in the middle of the streets, things like that. Those things are really the challenge, not so much blindness. Because, I mean, you're blind. You wake up in the morning, you can't see your finger, you're blind. The difference between success and failure is that you wake up in the morning and you have something to do, you do it. Whether you're blind, poor, deaf, or whatever else it is, you just do what you have to do.
Yeah, well, I don't even know where to go from there now.
Oh yeah, go somewhere.
Yeah, go somewhere.
I don't be like the blind, you didn't blind.
When looking now at what do you do? Because what do you do professionally? You told me you work in Woodbrook.
Yes, I am a music teacher,
Right.
and music and social studies actually teacher at Bishop Centenary College. I mean, that is my 9 to 5 or 8
Right.
whatever job.
Yeah.
And of course I perform from time to time around the place.
Right. So you take music very seriously.
That's my life.
That's your life.
That's all I've ever known.
And where do you perform? Just give me some examples of like some of the gigs that you would have around.
Well, I mean, we are, myself and a good friend of mine, we're starting an NGO to create a space for performers, young performers like myself and other young people.
Right.
So we're kind of starting that new project. I haven't really gotten out to perform in a while, but the world could look out, TNT could look out, because I have some plans coming up for some big stuff.
Yeah. Let me ask you it straight, because I mean I have on this show I have a number of local underground musicians and singers, songwriters here, and they express how challenging it is.
Oh, definitely.
So as a visually impaired singer-songwriter, as I say, that would put another layer of challenge based on...
As always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does, because, like I said, nobody's going to make space for you. And you can't expect people to make space for you because everybody is going after the same piece of the pie. So it does put an extra layer of challenge on myself. But I have always surrounded myself with the right persons, you know. So like I was mentioning my friend before, we are starting a brand, Nyol and Nix. She would like me to say Nix and Nyol, but it's Nyol and Nix. And
you put your foot down.
Of course.
Yes.
Easy, man. On the bed, under the bed, wherever, in the house, outside.
So it's Nyol and Nix.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So it is challenge, but the point I'm making is that you kind of have to surround yourself with the right people, and you have to be smart in the 21st century. You can't expect to do 21st century things in a 19th or 20th century way.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to really put yourself out there. And one thing I have learned is don't be afraid to show off. You know, don't be afraid to let people know how good you are or how good you think you are.
Yeah. Well, so if this isn't inspirational TNT, I don't know what is. Nyol, how old are you? Seriously speaking?
I am
14?
I just turned 30 on the 14th of May.
Nice. So I just want a little quick, because we're going to hear another performance, actually one of your original tracks.
Yes.
You wrote.
I did write, yes.
And you're going to perform that one for us. That one is called?
It's called Making Love.
Yeah, this one is for the ladies.
Of course, always. How could you go through life without living for, you know,
for
love?
the ladies, yeah.
You could say that, I say love.
Yeah. You say for love, I say for the ladies. Yeah.
Because you are Joel Villafana and I am just an unknown entity.
Nyol, the Calypso competition that you won with the Advocates for the Blind and Visually Impaired, you sang one song?
I did sing one song.
Give me a little tease of it now. Trying to make a tease of who may not have heard what your winning contribution was.
So it's called Together as One.
Yeah.
And of course it reflects a lot of my views on what I think life is or what life should be. Life is a party for everybody, created by the Almighty, and the cost is free. But some people want to break up this jam with negativity and separation, using differences to distort the rhythm, bringing violence and hate in the dance. Time to put them vultures to rest. Bounce a show them out the door, please. Love myself and everyone else. The party go on in peace. Yes, verse. So we could fet a lime together as one. Have a real good time together as one. Enjoy the vibes, yeah. Together as one.
Yeah.
Together as one.
Yeah, your voice can do different things. You've learned your voice over the years.
I've had two, and I mean, I've been one of the fortunate ones in the sense, like, I have had the opportunity, like I said before, to go off to Berklee College of Music to get professional training. Yeah,
you took it seriously now.
I have to. I mean, everybody has to. Thank God I was able to find what I wanted to do from young and be able to go after it.
Yeah. My brother.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
It's such a pleasure meeting you. As I said, you know Stormy Tom?
I do know Stormy Tom.
Stormy Tom.
Good friend of mine.
Stormy Tom and I go way back, probably 15, almost 20 years now.
He's almost a veteran.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll call you.
But he is a veteran. As I said, I met him as a young reporter at 95.5. He has inspired me, and the more of you guys I meet, I think you serve as an inspiration. Yeah. Despite the indictment that I think you laid on our society, I hope the authorities would have heard this morning.
We could do something.
Yeah. We can improve where we can improve, guys. This is Nyol Manswell. I want to thank you very much for sharing your music with us this morning, first of all.
Always.
And your story. We come on back, guys, because Nyol will perform one of his original tracks. It's called
Making Love for Love.
For the ladies. Nyol is coming back to perform one for us. We are serenading you on a Sunday. Come on back, guys. This is Serenade Sundays on A Cup of Joe.